The difference is amazing. That's why Rain-X just won the prestigious Product of the Year award. Rain-X, outsmart the elements.
Through our tears, let us know the blessings of knowing and loving you, a great and noble man, the best father a son or daughter could have.
Today, the Senate and House is expected to pass a short-term spending bill. However, the big issue has not been solved yet, and that is what's happening at our border.
Breaking news report, we have now discovered a long email chain.
There is mention in these emails that the intelligence community had concerns about the quality of the intelligence in the Steele dossier.
The stock market reopens today after a roller coaster week thus far. Massive gains and losses. Chinese officials now say they are confident about striking a trade deal with the president.
When the history books are written, they will say that George H.W. Bush was a great president of the United States and a gentleman who executed the duties of his office with dignity and honor.
Oh, that'll take you back, won't it? I loved that song.
Right, not anymore?
Probably about, I still love it, but about 7 or 8 years. That's when it, right? Wasn't that really famous like 7 or 8 years ago? It reminds me of a certain period in your life. You know, a song reminds you of that, high school or whatever it is.
For us, it's Paul Anka memories. And then we go back into that.
Times of your lives.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Very, very busy Thursday.
That's right. We want to get to this story, a final farewell. We have a live look inside St. Martin's Episcopal Church in Houston, Texas, where President George H.W. Bush is lying in repose.
The event is wrapping up now to prepare for the president's Texas funeral. That'll be later this morning.
That's right. He will arrive in College Station via train. William LaJeunesse joins us right now from the Bush Presidential Library there, where the president will be buried later today. William.
Good morning, guys. It is still dark here. There are 1,000 points of light in the sky, and tonight there'll be one more. This is Texas A&M University. The Presidential Library is behind me, but also the president's, the Bush School of Public Service. That is his living legacy. And the university, for the rest of the year, the sports teams will wear this logo of President Bush right there, 41, on their helmets, on their sports jerseys as well, including the upcoming Gator Bowl. But A&M originated as a military college. It is one reason the president chose it in 1990, while still in office, as his presidential library and final resting place.
He could be in Arlington National Cemetery, but he's going to be at Texas A&M, which says a lot about his heart being a lot like the heart of Aggies. It means a lot to all Aggies.
So that church service will be at 10 a.m. in Houston, and following that, a funeral train will leave for here at 1 p.m. and it's about a 70-mile journey to College Station. It will go slow, no stopping, but allow people along the route to see the train, to say farewell to the president. The sides of the actual funeral car will be plexiglass so they can see the casket inside. Funeral trains really recall another era. 25 million Americans lined the route for President Lincoln, and the last funeral train was Eisenhower in 1969. Now, the train will arrive here around 3:25 local time. The family will depart from the passenger cars. They'll be met by a chorus of military cadets as well as the Aggie marching band. The casket will be lowered, and then it will take about a 1-mile motorcade here to the library and the final resting place. The family itself will disappear behind a line of trees, sycamores and oaks, over a little bridge, and that's where the cameras will stop, and it will be a private ceremony, so to speak. The Navy will have a 21 flyover of jets, F-18 Super Hornets from Naval Air Station Oceana in Virginia Beach, 21-gun salute, and then finally that 3-gun volley, which will tell us that the president is finally interred alongside Barbara, his wife, and their daughter who died at age 3 of leukemia, Robin. Back to you guys.
All right, William LaJeunesse in College Station, Texas. Thank you very much. So today, an emotional week will conclude. Yesterday, though, of the 4 eulogists at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., the one everybody wanted to hear was how the 43rd President of the United States, who was the son of the 41st President of the United States, would remember his father, and he remembered him this way.
We're going to miss you. Your decency, sincerity, and kind soul will stay with us forever. So through our tears, let us know the blessings of knowing and loving you, a great and noble man, the best father a son or daughter could have. And in our grief, let us smile knowing that Dad is hugging Robin and holding Mom's hand again.
There he pats the casket of his father. Always wondered how a child can do that. I mean, he did a beautiful job eulogizing his father, but that has to be extremely difficult to fight back the tears and have to eulogize your parent.
I've done it.
You've done
Brian's done it. It's really hard. It's the hardest speech you'll ever give.
Yeah.
I get the sense he wrote it too. I mean, I just heard the way he speaks is the way that speech came out. I'm sure we'll get the backstory on it shortly. But sadly, they've been planning this since, what, 2011 in detail? So everybody knew the oldest child, not let alone the former President of the United States, and his son will be giving it. Still, it doesn't prepare you for the moment. A couple of things. Not easy closing out a show where the whole world was watching. Number two is, John Meacham was great, profound writer.
The story, and he wrote the book about
Senator Simpson was fantastic. He was humorous. Brian Mulroney was good. He actually gave America more credit than Canada. Right. He said the finest country around. So
the former Prime Minister of Canada.
The former Prime Minister of Canada, and he also eulogized Barbara Bush. But I thought it was something that's going to live on forever. What I just thought it was good over the last few days is people weren't talking about the Persian Gulf Wars or the economy or winning elections or losing elections. They were talking about the quality, the character of the person. And I think that's what goes through. Even if you're not in politics, people are talking about what kind of life do you want to lead? How do you want to be remembered? And it's making a lot of people get into these conversations. You want to be known as the richest. You want to be known as the best. You want to have the most friends. You want to have the most respect. If all those things are yes, yes, and yes, how do you do that? Maybe you do what he did.
The family wanted a ceremony of unity, and so they had all the four other presidents sitting together. Chelsea Clinton was talking to Mike Pence. Then Chelsea Clinton was sitting next to Ivanka. You can see there you have the Trumps and the Obamas and the Clintons and the Carters were sitting on the other side of her.
Right, and much has been said about how the Trumps and the Obamas and the Clintons.
We were all watching those moments.
There wasn't a lot of interaction. The Trumps and the Obamas did, but there was no interaction with the Clintons.
Other than, Melania came over and Hillary just shook her head. And,
well, at least they
recognize you.
They all showed up, and it was a great honor of the 41st president.
But it's true. Weren't we told not to talk in church? So you can't really talk and go, what have you been doing? What's it like not to run the country anymore?
Before you...
Well, and you know what? Normally in a formal church, you don't clap either. And this is an Episcopal church. Yep. This is the cathedral, but they did clap after 43 eulogized his dad.
It was terrific. All right. Meanwhile, there's a bit of news. House Republicans, as you know, have been trying to get the president to declassify certain documents. And now a tantalizing bit of information has come out. Apparently, they want the president to declassify an email chain between the FBI and the Department of Justice because they say it will, according to John Solomon at The Hill, he says it's damning evidence of potential abuses of FISA and has been kept from members of Congress for the last 2 years.
They say that the intel community was very concerned about the reliability of that dossier, the dirty dossier, and that they were aware before getting the FISA warrant.
Here's John Solomon last night with Sean Hannity.
And there are 2 or 3 very important revelations. One is that James Comey's involved in the discussions. 2, there is mention in these emails that the intelligence community, possibly the NSA or another agency, had concerns about the quality of the intelligence in the Steele dossier. And 3, that there were pretty significant worries, concerns that Christopher Steele had already begun talking to the news media. This is before they file the FISA warrant, before they fire him. If all those things are true, if the FBI had not corroborated and there were concerns about the Steele dossier.
So it sounds like it's really a smoking gun. Now the ball is in the president's court. The president has been talked out of declassifying other stuff by members of Congress and by the Department of Justice. Will he go ahead and reveal this stuff? It's in his power. Stay tuned.
Well, those questions come up to James Comey behind closed doors, and was out with the president talking about saying, if you go after me and you want to declare war on the presidency, I have something in my arsenal.
All right, it's just unfolding. Carly Shimkus has some more headlines for us. Hey, Carly.
Hey, good morning, guys. And we begin here with a Fox News alert. A desperate search underway right now for 5 Marines after warplanes collide off the coast of Japan. 2 crew members have been rescued so far. One of them is in fair condition. The second Marine is being evaluated at a hospital. The fighter jet and refueling plane crashed during a routine training exercise like this one you see right here. We'll bring you more information as it comes in. And a Fox Business alert, the stock market on edge. It's about to reopen after the National Day of Mourning for President George H.W. Bush. Now, it's been a roller coaster week of gains and losses amid uncertainty over the U.S.-China trade truce. Chinese officials say they're confident in the 90-day pact, and President Trump is also optimistic, tweeting, quote, very strong signals being sent by China. A potential landmark Supreme Court case could affect the Robert Mueller Russia probe. Today, the High Court will review a double jeopardy loophole, allowing state and federal governments to prosecute someone for the same crime. Now, it could impact Paul Manafort, who pleaded guilty to federal charges, but potentially face state charges, even if he's pardoned by the president. And remember this scene from Christmas Vacation? Well, it happened in real life. Police in England spotting this van. Can you believe this? With a giant Christmas tree on top. Police posting the photo to warn drivers about the dangers of holiday driving. Don't holiday and drive, folks.
Oh my gosh, the top of the tree is dragging on the ground.
Can't see the forest
love
the tree.
Christmas, yeah, good point. I love Christmas Vacation because even the roots are on the end of it. It's like they ripped it out of the ground.
It
That
just
guy's got a big house, apparently.
It just reminds me of something else that happened. The guy tied my tree up to my car. Does this ever happen to you? I have no more cash anymore. I live in a cashless society. I'm not be able to tip anybody unless they carry around the square.
Hold on, Carly brought up a good point about this guy. He said this guy has a mansion. This guy has a big house. He doesn't have a nice car. He spent all of his money on his house.
Right, but Carly says the roots are still intact, so it's as if he didn't cut it down. This somehow you're suggesting it's a stolen tree.
He just ripped it out of the ground.
Right. That was it, the Christmas Vacation one. The roots are like dangling.
Oh, I gotcha. Can I talk about myself again real quick?
You might as well.
I forgot my stand. Every year I forgot my stand because I want the guy to put the stand on to be able to get the tree. And every year I go, I can't forget it this year. And now I have 3 Christmas stands because I feel so guilty. But I know I don't do a good job jamming it into the prongs.
That's the beauty of the artificial Christmas tree.
I know.
It's already installed.
So, wait, you get the Christmas tree guy to put the stand on, so you drive down the road with the Christmas tree on the roof of your car with the stand attached?
Right, here's the thing.
That's even worse than the roof.
I don't even tip them.
You can put the stand on at home. Most do.
It's just 3 little screws.
I do terrible putting it straight. Like,
no, and then you have the whole family.
By the way,
is it upright?
Don't forget to water your tree. My tree was already out of water like 2 days ago.
Right.
I need to do it when I get home.
That's why we have butlers.
Water your tree.
All right, straight ahead. A surge of migrants are trying to get into the United States from California to South Texas, and Border Patrol is stretched to the limit. So how can we contain the caravan? We're going to ask the one guy who knows, a Border Patrol chief you're going to meet.
Plus, is Facebook putting profits over your privacy? The secret email just made public. Little embarrassing.
I'm a drug mule from the cartel.
You were never a real father.
I was on the road 60 hours a week to provide for this family. This is the last one.
The Mule. Rated R.
I like chillaxin'. The United Explorer card makes things easy. Traveling lighter. Taking a shortcut. Woo! Taking a breather. Rewarded.
Learn more at theexplorercard.com.
Morning. Welcome to Mitsubishi. Interested in a test drive?
Yeah.
Can you check out the stereo? Introducing the 2019 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. If you like sculpted lines, you'll love its dynamic design. In a world of asphalt, gravel, and snow, Super All-Wheel Control will save the day. With a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, the Eclipse Cross is a must-see. Now showing at a dealership near you.
What? Test drive a new crossover at your local Mitsubishi dealer.
Drive your ambition. Mitsubishi Motors.
Is there a standoff brewing in your home? Can't agree on a traditional coffee maker versus a single serve? Steer clear of a showdown with the Cuisinart Coffee Center and have the best of both worlds, all with one appliance. The single-serve brewer uses our home barista reusable filter cup or any variety K-Cup with 3 cup sizes and instant heat up. The programmable 12-cup brewer lets you enjoy premium features like adjustable brew strength, auto on and off, and brew pause. The Cuisinart Coffee Center. When it comes to coffee makers, you can have it all.
My team spent a lot of time and money posting jobs. We would get a flood of resumes, but finding the right person was nearly impossible. My budget has to stretch, but my time can't. I was tired of using 12 vendors. Then I learned that CareerBuilder has everything. Data to help us plan, a single source to find candidates, marketing tools to engage them, and the fastest background screening on the market. So we made the switch. Now we get the right person faster. It's not just efficient, it's smart. CareerBuilder. Work can work.
Mom, I got you something.
Well, that's sweet of you. What is it?
It's Cardia Mobile. Here, let me show you. It takes your EKG.
Oh, that's my heart? Huh, that's wonderful.
Hey, is Mom there?
Yeah. Oh, hey, sweetie. I just did my cardia. Still normal.
Hey, Mom, is everything okay?
I texted you. It says possible atrial fibrillation.
Okay, we should get it checked out. I'll pick you up.
This holiday, give peace of mind to a loved one for only $99, and they'll receive a free carry pod. To order, visit cardiomobile.com.
This is an invitation to dive into a world bursting with life. Are you ready to become a part of this Atlantis, Bahamas at heart?
Book your winter vacation by December 10th at 1-800-ATLANTIS or AtlantisBahamas.com.
It is my honor to introduce a true visionary, Mr. Austin Hamilton.
Thank you. Ever wonder where the people with all the answers get all the answers? Ask Markham. Accountants and advisors.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7, Channel 115.
All right, while migrant caravans are trying to cross the border in California, get this, there's a surge in migration in South Texas and in Arizona.
The Rio Grande Valley is ground zero for apprehensions, with the strain of the caravan stretching Border Patrol's resources and putting a strain on the agency as it continues with its mission. Agents there apprehending on average 680 people per day, compared to up to 145 arrests daily in San Diego.
Manuel Padilla Jr. is the director of Joint Task Force West in Texas, and he knows firsthand what the Border Patrol agents are up against. He joins us right now from San Antonio. Sir, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me.
You bet. We know you guys are and gals are really busy these days for a variety of reasons. But there's a story out this morning that apparently Border Patrol is preparing for perhaps a surge with some of these migrants who may try to do what happened a couple of weekends ago, where they try to race across the border. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I can tell you that we have an extremely difficult situation on the border, something that I have not seen in my 32 years of service with the U.S. Border Patrol. And what that situation is we have two very distinct problem sets. One is a traditional border security mission that includes MS-13, criminal aliens, narcotics trafficking, and the potential terrorist threat that comes at us, consistently. So that is a traditional border security mission. And then on top of that, now we have this humanitarian / asylum seeker mission. And that's really stretching the resources very, very thin, as you mentioned. But the interesting thing, or the difficult difficulty in this is that with the humanitarian mission, there is nothing that we can do at the field level. This requires congressional action to close the immigration loopholes. And also for the border security mission, of course, we need the infrastructure, the wall system to give the agents the tools that they need.
Is it frustrating when you're spending your life's work down there and you want laws to change and Congress isn't listening?
Well, it's not only frustrating, but it's border security. Border security is national security. So it's difficult to see that the agents are doing everything that they can. We're doing everything that we can with our partners, and it just requires congressional action to fill or to take care of these two problem sets.
Are the troops helping in McCallum? Does that help you guys? There seems the role of the military is expanding, it seems.
Absolutely. I say often that border security is a team sport. The troops coming down here, down to South Texas, I mean, we built up a lot of infrastructure, a lot of what we call impedance, laid some barriers to ensure that if the caravan came this way, we were ready to handle it, yes.
Well, sir, thank you very much for your service, and thanks for telling us what's going on down south. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
The number of job applications for police officers is plummeting at departments nationwide. One police chief is here to explain why. Next.
Go for it.
Critics and audiences have spoken. Creed 2 was an instant classic. 4 stars. A brilliantly entertaining movie with tons of heart. Creed 2, rated PG-13. Now playing in IMAX in theaters everywhere.
I'm 53, but in my mind, I'm still 35. That's why I take Osteo Biflex, to keep me moving the way I was made to. It nourishes and strengthens my joints for the long term. Osteo Biflex, because I'm made to move.
Freezing cold. Blazing heat. Rain-X Silicone Advantage wiper blades are engineered to withstand the most extreme conditions. They last 2 times longer than traditional wipers. If Rain-X Silicone Advantage wipers survive these conditions, clearly they'll last in yours. Rain-X, outsmart the elements. Find Rain-X Silicone Advantage wipers at these retailers.
For the aches and pains that stop you in your tracks, Tommy's got your back. Tommy Copper's revolutionary pro-grade shoulder shirt, now available in long sleeve, delivers pain-relieving compression to your shoulders and the muscles along your spine.
The Tommy Copper shoulder shirt has double support panels to bring our shoulders back into a neutral position, which helps to reduce the pain in the lower back, the mid-back, and shoulders.
Visit TommyCopper.com to see all the ways we can help relieve your pain. Go now and save 25%. Tommy's got your back.
Introducing the new Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and 4% on entertainment. Now when you go out, you cash in what's in your wallet.
One for you and one for me.
I love it.
Oh, actually, that was supposed to be
I love it.
I like red.
It's the GMC Denali Seasoned Upgrade. Get over $12,300 total value on this Sierra when you finance through GM Financial.
Coming home to Houston as the 41st president is laid to rest and friends and family pay tribute. Shepard Smith is live with special coverage today.
Looking for a family-size solution to vision care?
Lunches?
Yep.
Yes.
Check.
Homework?
Got
it. Your glasses. Oh, thank you, VSP.
Take a second look.
Your shoes?
With clarity when it matters most. VSP Individual Vision Plans offers coverage you can buy on your own, so your family's Monday mornings are more manageable. Go to VSPdirect.com to see better for life for less.
Time now for your news by the numbers, as you see right there. First up, more than 285,000% That's how much the price of a cup of coffee has risen in the country of Venezuela this year alone. The country is experiencing hyperinflation under President Nicolas Maduro. Next, zero. That's how many gas-powered cars Volkswagen wants to make by 2026. The German automaker is shifting its focus to electric cars. Finally, 40,000. That's how many slices the Cheesecake Factory handed out for free to celebrate its 40th birthday, and it caused chaos. The orders backed up a Virginia location so much it caused a fight. A DoorDash delivery driver arrested in the chaos. Some people waited 2 hours for the free piece of cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory. And that's some of the news, Brian and Ainsley.
All right, Steve, who wants to be a police officer, we asked. Job applications across the country, sadly, are plummeting in 66% of police departments across the country. But why? And are American cities prepared to deal with this troubling trend around the nation?
Here with some insight for us is Chief Rich Busby with the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. Thank you so much, Chief, for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Why is this? Why do you think we're seeing the numbers go down?
Well, the economy has changed fundamentally in the last, certainly under Trump. Young people have other opportunities that are lucrative, and they sometimes take advantage of that. Policing has gotten increasingly complicated, particularly in the last 10 years. There's a narrative nationally that isn't always pretty, and it's sometimes more than certain young people are willing to put up with. The expectations of this generation are different than our generation and the generations that preceded. So it's a different time.
Is it because a lot of officers feel as though society, the county, the state don't have their back in times of trouble, yet they're putting their life on the line regularly?
That's an incredibly important point that you make there. And I think you're exactly right. The police officers, by and large, don't do this for money. They do it because it's helpful to other people. And unfortunately, it's not always appreciated. And unfortunately, a narrative is afoot in this country that isn't always true or fair. And all those things play into it, I believe.
Yeah, we do it every day. Look at these numbers. In terms of sworn officers, you guys peaked at 724,000.
Yes.
It's now down to 701,000. You feel in New Jersey not that big of a problem, but around the country it is.
It is certainly a problem around the country. In New Jersey, the problem of retention exists. And that's linked closely with the hiring process as well. You have to prepare young people in as best a way you can to be ready for what they're going to see. Sometimes a young person comes from a great home and they haven't seen some of the things that they're going to be exposed to during the early part of their career, and sometimes it's just too much for certain young people.
So if this is the problem, we know that this is a problem, especially in big cities. How do we fix this? What do we do to change it to recruit more people?
Well, I can tell you what we've done in New Jersey. We try to outreach to all the communities. A police department works at its best if the composition of the department reflects racially and otherwise the community it serves. So we're trying to do a larger outreach to communities of color and communities of interest. We're also trying to pre-stage programs like the police cadets and the police explorers, because that prepares young people for what they might actually see, and it gives them the proper mindset, gives them the backdrop.
And a little bit, Chief, is the fact the economy is going so well, there's so many opportunities that maybe people are looking to that right now.
I think you're precisely right again. If a young person can be educated and use their education to the best advantage and make a salary without having to be up all night and weekends and holidays and not have to take a lot of guff from certain segments of the society, sometimes that is a factor.
Times have changed. Would you go back into it if you could do it all over again?
I suppose I would. I often ask myself that question. I have 3 sons, 2 of which are very interested in the profession. And I can tell you that I feel for them, and it's different today. But listen, somebody has to do it and do it well.
They're proud of their dad, who became a police chief and is now keeping up the spirit.
Well, we try.
We're proud of you.
We really do, and we're proud of the communities that support us. We really are. We feel blessed a lot of days, just the people that we're able to touch.
And keep your eye on Steve. He's in New Jersey. A lot of times he gets himself into scuffles.
I heard that.
Yeah, and he needs to throw your name around.
Well, that's all right. I like him.
All right, good. He's going to be okay.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, coming up straight ahead, have you seen this video? A father making his daughter walk 5 miles home in the cold because she got kicked off a bus for bullying. Your comments are pouring in about this one. We'll share some of them next.
Plus, Senator Kristen Gillibrand says, forget about the men because the future is the female. Michelle Malkin says that's no future at all. And she joins us next.
And she's a female.
What's wrong with being? What's wrong with being? What's wrong with being confident? It's time to get the chains out.
I want to be with you. Yes, I do. Everywhere you go, I want to be with you.
The greatest wish of all is one that brings us together. The Lincoln Wishlist event is here. Sign and drive off in a new Lincoln with 0 down, 0 due at signing, and a complimentary first month's payment. Only at your Lincoln dealer.
Prestige creams not living up to the hype? Olay Regenerist shatters the competition. Big hype, big price, big deal. Olay Regenerist hydrates skin better than creams costing over $100, $200, and even $400. For skin that looks younger than it should. Fact check this ad in Good Housekeeping. Olay Regenerist. Now try Olay Hydrating Eye. Hydrates better than the #1 Prestige Eye Cream.
For small businesses, payroll is complex and time-consuming, and mistakes can mean tax trouble. Sure Payroll makes it easy to pay employees and file federal, state, and local taxes with accuracy guaranteed, all done online in minutes, and with award-winning support, even on weekends and evenings. More time for you, less time on payroll and taxes. For 1 month of free payroll, visit SurePayroll.com now or call 844-SURE-PAYROLL, SurePayroll.com.
If you're looking for the perfect holiday gift for someone special to you, give a gift that will be truly appreciated. The Omaha Steaks Favorite Gift Package. It's filled with $232 worth of great food for just $59.99. That's 74% off only on this special holiday offer. The people on your nice list will receive 4 tender, mouth-watering filet mignons, 4 extra thick boneless pork chops, 4 premium boneless chicken breasts, 4 classic juicy Omaha Steaks burgers, 4 stuffed baked potatoes, and 4 caramel apple tartlets. Your order will be delivered straight to your home or the destination of your choice, so you can give this wonderful gift to anybody on your holiday list. As a special holiday gift from us to you, if you order right now, we'll include 4 additional Omaha Steaks burgers free. That's 8 total. You get it all. Omaha Steaks Favorite Gift Package, a $232 value for just $59.99. Give everyone a gift they can appreciate. Give them the Favorite Gift Package from Omaha Steaks today.
Wait! Where's Grandpa?
If you're making too many bathroom trips, pay attention. Super Beta Prostate has clinically tested ingredients that help reduce urges to urinate so you can enjoy more of life's best moments.
Give a gift that brings the ones you love even closer with a DNA kit from 23andMe. And this holiday, get 30% off each kit at 23andme.com.
She's some kind of wonderful. She's some kind of wonderful. Yes, she is. She's some kind of wonderful.
Are they singing about Michelle Malkin?
I think so. She's definitely some kind of wonderful. Let's bring in Michelle Malkin, columnist and investigative journalist. Hey, Michelle.
Hi there. Appreciated that intro. Thank
you. In baseball, you get to pick your own music when you walk up to the plate. Did you pick that song?
I did not.
Okay.
One of our producers did. Hey, Michelle, years ago you wrote that book called Invasion, talking about the immigration problems here in the United States. There's a story out this morning. One of the people who was in the caravan has since been released into the United States. Apparently, a 19-year-old pregnant woman from Honduras by the name of Mary Uri Hernandez was arrested after she entered Imperial Beach, California. She apparently climbed over the border wall from Tijuana. As soon as she was down on the ground in American soil, she was arrested. And a couple of days later, apparently, she gave birth to an American citizen. And she said that her goal was to join her family in Columbus, Ohio, and giving birth on U.S. soil was a big reward for the long journey in the caravan. What do you say about that?
Well, that is the anchor baby problem, and President Trump has been right about this. He diagnosed automatic birthright citizenship as one of the biggest magnets and incentives to come here and break the law, and he's been asking Congress to do something about it. You can build 50-foot, 100-foot walls all along the 2,000 miles of the southern border, but if you don't turn off these magnets, it's going to result in a continued flow, and we're going to see these caravans over and over and over again. It is time to rethink automatic birthright citizenship. It's an anomaly around the world. There are only 30 nations that have it, and among advanced industrial nations, there are only 2, the U.S. and Canada. You know, for all of the open borders transnationalists who are always urging us to adopt the culture and practices of the rest of the world, this is one of the areas where they're clinging bitterly to, you know, a strange interpretation of the 14th Amendment. And look, my parents came here legally. My father was a neonatologist, and he was outraged because in his practice in Atlantic City, he saw women from around the world. It's not just women from South and Central America who are abusing this policy. It's people from Kenya or Russia or Korea who wait until they're 8.5 months pregnant to board a plane to get here. So it's not just something that affects the border. It's not just something that a wall will fix. And unfortunately, people in both parties don't want to address it.
All right, let's talk about Kirsten Gillibrand. She's a senator, Democrat in New York. She condemned Bill Clinton for Monica Lewinsky. She wanted to stop Judge Kavanaugh. And she just tweeted this: "Our future is female, intersectional, powered by our belief in one another, and we're just getting started." Is that the future?
I hope not, Ainsley. This sounds more like the tweet of an Oberlin College sophomore, and I went to Oberlin, so I know what the radical feminists talked about. And this is essentially an anti-male, grievance-wallowing dog whistle. People don't understand the history of this slogan, which sounds really cute, and you want to put it on a T-shirt for your daughter and make it seem as if you're all about female empowerment. But it's about much more than that. I say it's a dog whistle because the slogan actually came from the 1970s, and it was a feminist bookstore owner who sold shirts with this phrase and then put a portion of the revenue towards donating to Planned Parenthood. And you know what this really about is pandering to the far left extreme. And if that's how the Democrats think they're going to beat President Trump, keep saying it. That's all I can say.
Yeah, why would you shut off 48% of the country? Meanwhile, Senator Mazie Hirono, enjoying her moment of fame from the Brett Kavanaugh hearings and beyond, said this the other day on how what the Democrats' big problem is.
We Democrats have a really hard time is connecting to people's hearts instead of here. We Democrats know so much that is true, and we have to kind of tell everybody how smart we are.
Yeah, is that an effective message?
Again, I would really like these women, Mazie Hirono and Kirsten Gillibrand, to keep blabbing. This is somebody, of course, we've talked about Mazie Hirono before, who's told all men to, quote unquote, shut up. And the sense of condescension and elitism that comes out of her pores every time she's in front of a microphone is just going to turn off normal, everyday people in flyover country. You know, there was a study that came out last week that contrasted the difference between how liberals and conservatives talk, especially to minorities. And what they found is that liberals have an almost racist sense when they approach people because of their sense of intellectual superiority. And here we go with Mazie Hirono telling everybody that they can't connect with voters because they're too smart and know too much.
And they're too dumb. Voters are too dumb for our smarts.
Right. Yeah, this worked really well in 2016. Please keep going.
Well, let's see what they do in 2020. All right, listen, Michelle Malkin, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us from out west. on this
That's right.
Thursday.
Has anyone seen Carly Shimkus?
I have.
She's about 3 feet from you.
Oh. Hey, Carly.
Hey, how are you guys? So an important story to get to here. The UN set to vote on a resolution condemning Hamas. If adopted, it would be the first time the assembly has taken action against the Palestinian terror group. The measure, which recently won crucial backing from the EU, condemns Hamas for firing rockets into Israel. The leader of Hamas calls it an effort to delegitimize Palestinian resistance. A stash of secret emails reveals Facebook put profits over your privacy. The UK Parliament released hundreds of pages of previously sealed documents, some showing that the social media giant discussed selling personal information to app developers. Now, they valued each user's data at 10 cents each. The company says it never followed through with the plan. And PETA is likening eating a hamburger to causing wildfires. The animal rights group praising a Los Angeles councilman who wants to require entertainment complexes to provide vegan options on their menus. Now, he thinks it will help combat climate change. PETA is loving it, saying devastating wildfires are a sign we must do more to protect the planet, and that animal agriculture is, quote, one of the most, if not the most significant contributor to environmental issues. And a little girl gets a lesson in tough love when she's kicked off her bus for bullying.
Let me make this extremely clear. Bullying is unacceptable. So today, my beautiful daughter is going to walk 5 miles to school in 36-degree weather.
Oh, no. Well, the Ohio dad says he wanted to hold his daughter accountable after she was kicked off the bus for the second time. This video has been viewed 15 million times on Facebook, and this has a lot of you talking this morning, of course.
Yeah, I saw you checking the social media, so this is what Carly came up with, and these are the response to that story. Joel writes this. The child was monitored for the entire 5-mile journey and was never in any real danger, unless you call a learning experience dangerous, because we had brought up before, wait a second, is it kind of crazy to last 5 miles in that weather?
And then Ronald says, I believe the punishment is okay. Do not agree with posting it on the net.
That's right, because it will be on the net forever. And Joan writes, not too far and not too cold. Today's kids are too lazy. She can benefit from a brisk walk. All right, Joan, thank you very much.
Plus, if it's cold outside and you're walking 5 miles, you're not going to be that cold.
That's
Have you ever
absolutely
exercised
true.
outside when it's cold?
I know.
You start to sweat.
It's when you're standing still, like Janice Dean is right now. When it's cold,
that's right.
It's cold. And
Sometimes you jump up and down.
Yeah.
Hi, you guys. Are you warm? Very nice. Thank you for being here. And you guys just got married. Tell me your names and where you're from.
Amy Sparks and Zach Ritter, and we're from Bentonville, Arkansas.
Very nice. And so this is your honeymoon?
This is our honeymoon, and it's also Amy's mother's birthday, Suzette. Happy birthday, Suzette.
Very nice. Well, many happy years, my friends. All right, let's take a look at the map, see how cold it is outside. Yes, so this is wind chill, what it feels like against your skin if you're not protected. So yeah, we're talking about teens and single digits. All of that cold air is going to sink southward, and we're going to have a big winter storm, my friends, that's starting today. California, this is going to move towards the east, and the central and southern plains could get walloped with not only heavy rain and flooding conditions, but we could see some ice and some heavy snow, especially across the Appalachians. So we'll watch for that over the next couple of days. There will be travel delays. Here's your forecast today. Across the California region, lots of rain and heavy snow, and then we could see some lake effect snow. Thank you all for coming today. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Hi, wave to Steve, Ainsley, and Brian.
Hi, everyone.
That'll warm you up. The waving.
They're all bundled. That's the key.
All right.
That's the key. Got to cover the mouth. You got to cover the ears, the hands, the body.
And covered to the point where you're not enjoying yourself.
Just your eyes.
Muffled.
Can be seen.
Just be
and
muffled.
sometimes you wear sunglasses.
Yes.
All right. Meanwhile, straight ahead, Senator Bernie Sanders has a lot to say about climate change.
The future of the planet is at stake. Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
With all that talk about climate change, how does Bernie explain spending more than $300,000 on traveling on private jets?
Plus, we've got more mega morning deals for you. Throws and blankets for up to 75% off. And there are more Christmas bargains coming up.
Yeah, one of those outside the Janice.
To look at me now, you don't see psoriasis. You see clear skin.
You see me.
But if you saw me before Cosentyx,
I was covered. It was awful.
but I didn't give up.
I kept fighting.
I got clear skin with Cosentyx.
3 years and counting.
Clear skin can last.
See if Cosentyx could make a difference for you. Cosentyx
What is that? Smarter sleep to help you shed those sugar cookies. Get a running start on the holidays and take it all in with the patience of a saint. Don't miss the last chance to save up to $500 on select Sleep Number 360 smart beds. Ends Monday.
Oh, good, you're awake.
Finally.
You're still here.
Come on, Denise. We're Voya,
We stay with you too and through retirement.
with solutions to help provide income throughout.
I get that Voya's with me through retirement. I'm just surprised it means in my kitchen. Oh,
So that means no breakfast?
I said there might be
I
breakfast.
was really looking forward
I
to
know,
breakfast.
but we can.
Voya, helping you to
And through.
retirement.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Wherever you are this season, send some holiday cheer with beautiful cards, calendars, and photo gifts from Vistaprint. Right now, all cards and calendars are 50% off. Plus, get other great deals on photo gifts. Just use promo code HOLIDAY when you visit Vistaprint.com.
This is an invitation to experience a place between dreams and reality, to dive into life. Are you ready? Atlantis, Bahamas at heart.
Book your winter vacation by December 10th at 1-800-ATLANTIS or AtlantisBahamas.com.
What if there was something that can reduce body fat, boost mood, get rid of wrinkles, tighten saggy skin?